Phonics is the method all schools use to teach children how to read. It enables them to learn to read quickly and systematically, rather than teaching them to read every word in the English language. We teach the children to recognise the sound each individual letter makes, identify sounds made by different combinations of letters. For example, an S and a H together makes a sh sound, and two O's together can either make the sound oo, as in zoo, or as in book. Once the children are taught some of the individual letter sounds, they are then taught how to blend these sounds together to enable them to read words. Once the children know all of the sounds, they are able to use them as building blocks to read all decodable words. Research shows that the teaching of phonics is most effective when it is taught in a structured way, beginning with the easier sounds and progressing through to the more complex sounds. Each of the letters of the alphabet has its own letter sound, which we teach children individually, one lesson at a time, alongside its letter name. For example, the first sound we teach the children is S, and we teach them that its name is S and the sound it makes is S. Although there are 26 letters in the alphabet, there are more than 26 sounds in the English language. There are 44 sounds in total. These extra sounds are made up of sounds with 2 or 3 letters, like O in snow and I in night. Learning to recognise these building blocks gives children the knowledge they need to be able to read quickly and confidently. Having confidence in their own reading helps to instill a love of reading from an early age. There are many phonics programmes available for schools to use, and it is down to schools to decide which one they think best suits the needs of their pupils. At Victoria, we have chosen to teach the sounds in a progressive order as outlined in Letters and Sounds, which is a scheme that was commissioned by the Department for Education and Skills. We also use Jolly Phonics resources to aid our teaching. These include visuals, songs and actions the children learn as they learn each sound, which really helps them to remember them. On this slide is a link to a YouTube video which shows the songs used to help children remember all Phase 2 sounds. Later on in this presentation, I will tell you what sounds are taught in each of the phases. In phonics, there is lots of terminology involved, and we do not shy away from using it with the children. Right from reception, we will teach them that a digraph is one sound made by 2 letters. I'll just talk you through the vocabulary listed on this slide. Firstly, a phoneme is a sound as it is said, so for example, k or ch. A grapheme is a sound as it is written, so going back to my previous example, the grapheme for k is just a C, and the grapheme for ch is a C and a H. As I said just a moment ago, a digraph is 2 letters that work together to make one sound, and there are some examples there for you. A in play, E in green, and so on. Next, we've got trigraph, which is when you have 3 letters that together make one sound. For example, I in night and air in fair. Another air sound we have in our language is the air in care and share. And although the phonemes sound the same, the graphemes are different. A split digraph, which the children always love to know the name for, is when you have 2 letters that work together to make one sound, but they don't sit next to each other within a word. The examples for you there are A in cake, I in smile, and O in home. Finally, going back to more simple terminology, we've got letter name, which is the name of the letter as you would say it in the alphabet. I thought it would be useful for me to say each of the sounds so that you can ensure you are modelling them correctly to your children. So over the next few slides, I will simply read out the sounds and say their letter names too, if they're individual letter sounds. I have recorded them in their phases on the slides so you can see the order we teach them in, and hopefully you'll be able to see the progression too. It's important to point out that when we say these sounds, we must say the pure sounds. For example, the sound the letter M makes is M, it's not M. And the same goes for the letter S, it's S, not S. I'll start with phase 2 because there aren't any sounds in phase 1. If you listen to video 3, Mrs. Sargent explains what happens in phase 1, which is taught in nursery. Okay, so the sound is S. The name is S. Sound A, name A. Sound T, name T. Sound P, name P. Sound I, name I. Sound N, name N. Sound M, name M. Sound D, name D. Sound G, name G. Sound O, name O. Sound K, name C. Sound K, name K. Sound K. Sound E, name E. Sound A, name U. Sound R, name R. Sound H, name H. Sound B, name B. Sound F, name F. And then we've got F. Sound U, name L. Sound U, sound S. Next we've got phase 3. So the first sound is J, name J. Sound V, name V. Sound W, name W. Sound X, name X. Sound Y, name Y. Sound Z, name Z. And then we've got that other Z sound made by 2 Zs. And finally, Qu. The consonant digraphs that the children will learn are ch, sh, th, which they need to say with their tongue out, and ng. And the vowel digraphs are A, E, I, O. And this next one with 2 O's can be U or R or This next one, which is OW, can be O or ow. Oi, ear, air, your, and The focus of phase 4 is to be able to use all of the sounds they have been taught in phases 2 and 3 when reading and writing. In phase 5, the children are taught new graphemes as well as alternative pronunciations for graphemes they already know. So we've got A, ow, I, E, oi, U, or, w, f, u, o, and or. They are also taught the split digraphs A, E, I, O, and U. This next set of sounds are alternative pronunciations. I won't read those out for you because there's lots of examples there so you can work out what those are. The last phase is phase 6, which focuses on consolidation of all of the above and introduces children to the past tense, adding suffixes and prefixes, and strategies for remembering how to spell the tricky bits in words. As soon as we have taught the children the first few sounds, we begin to encourage them to apply this knowledge. Segmenting is the process of working out which sounds make up a word. Often we pretend to be robots, as using a robot voice as well as our robot arms really helps children to break up each word. So the example on this slide is spoon, spoon. Learning to blend is probably the most important part of this whole process, as blending is what enables your child to be able to read. It is an extremely difficult skill to master, and I always say to parents, it can take a long time, but once a child understands how and why we blend, it's like a light bulb moment, and once they've got it, they've got it. This light bulb moment usually happens at some point during a child's reception year, but as I said, it happens at different times for different children. To begin with, we have to help children a lot with blending. If they're reading a 3-letter word, I usually get them to identify the 3 letters themselves, and you'll find that they're concentrating so hard on identifying the sounds that they can't listen to the sounds they're making at the same time. I then get them to say the 3 sounds again, and this second time they're often much more fluent and they have more chance of being able to hear and blend the sounds. If not, I say the three sounds to them, and if they still can't blend the sounds together, I put the sounds really close together so I'm almost merging them into a word for them. So, for example, if the word was log to begin with, I would say og and see if the child can identify the word. And if not, I say the sounds closer together like this, og. So I'm basically saying the word. We need to make the children feel like they are doing it for themselves to give them that confidence to keep on trying. I think this is also a good time to mention that when a child is reading, they must blend each word. Sometimes when reading, a child might just say the sounds in a word and then move straight on to the next word in the sentence. Please make sure you stop them and get them to go back to blend the sounds and say the word in its entirety. Alongside teaching the children a series of sounds, we also teach them tricky words. Again, these are taught in a set order. Tricky words are sometimes referred to as red words or common exception words too. They're words that we cannot blend, so the children just have to learn to read them on sight. I realise there is a lot of information in this particular presentation, and it is the longest one too, but I wanted to make sure you had a really good understanding of what phonics is before you access the other presentations. If you have any questions, please ask your child's class teacher or contact me using the admin email address on this slide. Thank you for listening.